some more Dave Navarro stuff from one of my favorite guitarists of all time. So with this one, I'm teaching it on electric just for convenience sake, because we're going to look at all the guitars on this song, and there are quite a few. A lot of acoustics, some electrics as well. But so let's get after the first acoustic part that happens in the song. There are two acoustic parts that are going on at the same time, and we're going to look at the one that's in standard tuning first. There's another one that's in drop D. So let's look at the standard tuning guitar. We're going to go through the chords first for this one. So the first chord is a D sus2. So what we have is basically our D chord, but we're playing the first string open. So sometimes, though, he is playing the actual D chord, though. But I'll get to more of that in a second. Alright, so the next chord, I'm going to call this an F6-9. So we've got 3rd fret there, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, open E. Alright, so then our next chord is, and I'll talk a little bit more about this one too. So it's a G/B, so in this case we've got 2, open, open, 3. Now sometimes he's letting that high E ring open, so that would give you like a G6/B. Sometimes he's playing the G on that string. Sometimes he's playing a full G chord like this, but with the 3rd finger there. So I guess what I'm getting to here is that he's doing, he's switching it up and trying to keep it interesting. So you're going to see a couple different things with that G chord. All right, now the last chord here is C add 9. And you can play that chord like that. So that's 3, 2, open, 3, 3. And with this one, sometimes you'll get the open E instead of the G up top. So that versus that. So it's just another way to throw in some variety. So with this guitar part, it's improvised, but there are a couple things that you kind of want to keep consistent. So it's just kind of got like this, the intro and first verse have this kind of just like flowing, grooving 8th note type thing with some 16th notes thrown in. So this is kind of the general groove you want to go for. 3 and 4 in. So, just try to keep it interesting, but don't get too fancy because you're supporting the vocals here. That's your primary job, is to, keep it interesting underneath the vocals, but don't do too much. Alright, so that covers the first verse on this guitar. So with some of these embellishments that he's throwing in with the chords, let's talk about that. So with the F6-9, sometimes he's doing like a hammer-on from the open G string there, so something like this at like the first measure. Like that. So let's continue on and talk about some more embellishments. So basically he's kind of going for like the classic embellishments of a C chord, where you've got kind of your C major pentatonic notes there, being your C major pentatonic scale. So you can do these kind of things with the first finger here, where you're doing hammer-ons and pull-offs. So So another thing that he does that's kind of interesting is that kind of thing, where he's doing a G to F sharp pull off within like a D chord. Because most of the time he's just playing the sus2, and when he actually throws in that major third, it just kind of makes your ears jump up, and it's a cool thing to throw in. Alright, so with the drop D guitar, I can pretty much explain what's going on without tuning down to drop D. So this guitar does something like this for the intro. So it's basically just that another guitar doing this, playing the same idea. So like if you're recording, it's kind of a cool thing to think about. Your options are, okay, you could record just one acoustic track, pan it stereo so you've got it on both sides, or you could do one guitar track, pan to one side, another guitar track, pan to the other side, and it's you know, it creates two different textures, so it's something to think about when you're recording. So anyway, what's going on with the low drop D thing at the end of the intro before the vocals come in is he's just doing this kind of like G5, and then playing the open strings here, the 4th and 3rd string, and then coming down to an F5 and doing that. So of course, if you're in drop D tuning, you know the fingerings for your power chord is going to be a little different, but otherwise everything's the same. So again, 3 and 4 and. So on and so forth. Alright, so that's going to take us into the second verse, and this is where the band kicks in. So the first guitar part, so in other words, the acoustic that's in standard tuning and our acoustic that is in drop D are going to be doing this. I'll just play the whole verse for you now, and then we'll talk about it. Alright, so that's it. So let's talk about the rhythm. First, we've got this 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so it's kind of like this steady, kind of like marching along kind of rhythm. So the chords that we're going to use predominantly, he's playing the D chord, not the D sus2 on for our 1 chord now. So that's the first chord. Now the next chord's the same as it was with the intro and first verse. Next chord, our G/B, and we're gonna do the pinky down here, and then C at 9, and once again the pinky's gonna be down. So let's talk about some of the embellishments and stuff that's happening. So we get this. And so the C chord is where the embellishments are happening. So here's the first one. I'll just put it in context. So we get a chromatic slide in, and then we're going to do a hammer-on the 4th string. Like that. So. And I like to keep my 3rd finger down while I'm doing this slide. So that 3rd finger it's a pedal tone through all the chords in the progression, so I want to keep it ringing as much as possible. So keep that in mind as I play this now. So the next embellishment that happens over the C add 9 is this. So chromatic slide in from a half step below, and then we've got the hammer-on, and then we've got this. So those are sextuplets, and then 16th notes. Like that. So I'll do this, I'll put this verse together slowly. And 3 in, 4 in. So that last time it's just a slide there from that chromatic slide, and the C chord is held. Alright, now let's talk about the electric guitar that's overdubbed for the verse here. So it's arpeggiating the chords like this. So that's it. That's a little bit slower than tempo. So at tempo would be like this. 3 in, 4. So it's a really cool part. It sounds like it's just awesome on its own, you know. And so let's talk about what's going on. It's just a D chord like this. So 7th fret, and then 5th fret. And so the arpeggio pattern goes like this. It's 2, I'll say the string names. 2, 3, 2, 1. So that's the first beat. 2, 3, 2, 1. And then we have this. 3, 2, 3. So alright, so then over the G chord, the like F6-9, what he plays is this. So he's just bringing the pinky out to the 8th fret and keeping everything else the same. And then that comes down, that exact shape comes down 2 frets. And then the pinky comes in for the next chord. So is the idea there. So on the last time though, just like the other guitar, we're gonna change what we're doing. So we get this. So it's kind of like this weird funky chord that he plays. I was hearing it as this. So you get basically the root of the chord, which is C, the 9th, and A, which would be the 6 or 13. So between the various guitars, you get kind of like that sort of a sound as the chord going prior to the chorus. So it's kind of just like a big colorful thing, you know, just colorful C chord between the guitar parts. Okay, so now we are into the chorus, and now with the chorus, one of the acoustics and one of the electrics, I believe, are doing the same part. So this part that we're going to talk about first is doubled. And then there's another overdub guitar that's kind of filling in some space with fills where the vocal is leaving space. So anyway, I'll play it, enough talk, and Alright, so that's it. So the chords, we've got just a regular old C chord. We're going to strum that and hold it for a whole note. Then our next chord is A sus2. So it's like our A chord, but the B string is open. And he rolls that chord. So we get 2, 3, 4. So kind of dramatic there. And then next chord, we're going to arpeggiate, or sorry, next measure, arpeggiate our C chord. So that's 5, 4, 3, 5. Then we're going to slide up that shape, and we're going to play the 5th and 4th string. Then this next chord is A6, 9. So that's open, 7, 6, open, open. And then that just repeats again. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Alright, so as I said, the other guitar part, the overdub track, is doing basically the same thing, but kind of playing a little bit more busier and filling space where the vocals are kind of between phrases, like this. That's exactly note for note what he plays. So really over the A sus2, he's just arpeggiating the chord like that. And then here what he's doing is basically taking the third shape on the 4th and 3rd strings. So that comes 7 and 9 if we're thinking in terms over like diatonic A major scale stuff. So like that. So the other double stop that gets combined with the open strings is 11 and 9. Then back to the C, A sus2 again. And here what he does is he's combining the open A with some melodic stuff on the 4th string. Like that. Okay, so let's talk maybe a little bit about the form of the song. Next what happens is we have another verse, and then we have another chorus, and basically for the second chorus, since the overdub part that I just showed you is improvised, he plays it basically the same but with some slight differences. So just kind of keep a note out for that. Okay, so the next part of the song that we get to is, that we have to talk about is the guitar solo. Now I've already covered the guitar solo in a separate lesson on this song, so you can just check out that video if you want to learn that part. So the next part that we have to talk about is the bridge. That's the part that happens after the guitar solo. And this is, it's got some cool chords to it, kind of like chords that get used in the song Ocean Size, if you're familiar with that Jane's Addiction tune. Kind of get used in a lot of flamenco music. So let's look at what's going on with that. Back into a verse. So the chords, let's talk about that. So our first chord is E, and it sounded like, it's kind of hard to tell, it sounds like he's not playing the 6th string, but he could be. So I'll talk about that here in a second. So E with the 6th string or not. Then the next chord is G6, and again you could add the 6th string in here. The bass is going to be covering it, so you know, if you're playing with a band, it doesn't matter all that much. So G6 with or without the low root. And then the next is, I'm going to call this an F sharp 7 add 11. Is the next chord. So basically these shapes are just, it's like our bar chord shape, but you know, we're not barring, we're leaving those open strings open. Like that. So first chord, second chord, third chord, fourth chord. So the next chord then is just a C chord. Okay, then our next chord is B sus4. So he's doing that by just playing like a power chord on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. Then open B and E, high strings. And then the last chord is F5, which is just played on our low 3 strings. So to do the whole bridge again, we get this. Builds to a crescendo there at the end. So the rhythm is improvised, but it's kind of, he's just grooving with the drums and bass, which is a so it's kind of got like a driving rhythm to it, where you're going to see some like 8th note 2/16 type things and some 16th notes, that kind of thing. So as long as you keep that rhythm plugging along. And then with the C chord, he starts to just kind of hammer more, because the rhythm section is just like, you know, starting to hammer into the chords. The F5 is just all downstrokes. And then there's on beat 4, 4E and back into the verse. So, let's talk about what the other guitar is doing. Now, this is the guitar that was playing the guitar solo. So it's in an overdriven electric bridge pickup, and I'm just going to play it with this clean tone though. So we get octave melodies. So let's talk about that. So we've got, over the E chord, we're playing the octave B. Like that. And then slide up to E, to D. Okay, and then we've got, and then we're going to go E to C sharp. So that much. Alright, and to close off this measure, we're going to do B to C. So the whole thing is... Now for the next measure, we're going to do a power chord. And so then we're going to do the B sus4 that the other guitar is doing for that measure. he does is he holds that F5 for 2 beats, then 3 and 4 and then he comes up to this octave shape up here. And then he's adding in the note E flat, which basically what that gives you is like an F7 chord between the two guitar parts. So like is like the overall sound you get between the parts. So this whole bridge part in the lead guitar is this. Back into the verse. Alright, so we have the ending now to talk about, like basically like we've got a chorus and then we've got kind of like an outro coda section. So let's talk about that now. The two guitar parts that are kind of like the acoustic guitar parts at the beginning of the song are doing this. So it repeats, that whole thing repeats like 4 times, so. So the last, there's basically the first time this whole thing repeats we get, which is the second time through the progression. So then it loops around and then there's like, you could notate this with a second ending. So the next time is through the form is. So that's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. So 4 E and 1. So simple chords that we've already talked about. This D chord, then the F6/9, G/B, and C add 9. So the rhythm is 1 and a 2 E and a 3 and a 4 E and a. So now let's talk about the other guitar part, what's going on underneath that. We're going to be playing double stops on our second and third strings. Basically, so I'll just talk about the shapes first that we're going to be playing over the chords. So here's the first shape is 11 and 10. And the next chord we're going to be playing 12 and 10. Next chord 10 and 10. Next chord 9 and 10. Okay, so then the chord progression repeats, but we're going to get 10 or 11 and 10, 12 and 10, and then for the next bar we're going to get 5 and 5. So we get this. Playing this a little messy, so the open fourth string's kind of getting in on this a little bit. So I would probably not play it messy though. I just play it like this. So that's how that part goes. And then that gives way to, it's the drop D guitar that closes out the song. So I'll actually play this in, well, actually, I guess I don't need to. I can cheat the drop D-ness. So here's what we have. So really, okay, what he's doing is just playing the chord progression like he normally does, the intro progression. But he starts to slow down and do a retard. Right when he gets to the D chord again. So he's coming down the D5 power chord at the end here. So what that is F, D, or sorry, F, B, D. And then he does a little bend on the F. And then plays a big D5 power chord. Of course I can't play it since this is an E, but, you know, play the low D. And of course your F note's going to be over here instead of back here. So, the outro. So that covers all of the guitar parts to My Friends by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So lots of cool stuff with the layering. Dave Navarro, I think, is an expert of layering guitar tracks on recordings. You know, this album's a great example. I think in terms of just layering guitars, the Jane's Addiction album strays just for that aspect alone. I mean, it's a really cool album, but I think that's one to really kind of study if you know you're looking for some cool ideas in terms of production and layering. But anyway, hope you like the song. Email me if you have questions or anything like that. I'm Matt Brown, and I'll see you for more lessons.